With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Good evening, everybody. We told you we'd be back, and here we are. We're back. A little bit of Showtime Cup Series action here at Atlanta Motor Speedway down here in Hotlanta, Georgia. Pretty excited to see these guys race again here. The Showtime Cup Series signed on with Verdane TV just a few weeks ago and really taking us into the 2021 season. Pretty notable little paint scheme deal here. They run the NASCAR Cup Series paint schemes and numbers and teams. So the Hendrick Motorsports drivers, the Penske drivers, the Roush drivers, the RCR drivers, they all kind of work together as a team. So pretty cool little aspect that we've got here in the Showtime Cup Series. Showtime Paul Strickland Jr., no relation to the Showtime Cup Series here, producing and do a little bit of commentary, waiting for the arrival here of Kyle Young. And we've got Jesse Thompson in here for the very first time for the Showtime Cup Series. Just got done calling the Tim's Corner Motorsports Weekly Racing Series there at Oxford Plains. Pretty good little race there. But now we head over to the mile and a half here at Atlanta. How we doing tonight, Jesse?
Well, man, I'm telling you, as soon as you said the words Cup, Hot, and Atlanta, I was in. I'm ready for whatever is going to show up here tonight. I'm very, very excited to be here in Atlanta. And very quickly to get down here from Oxford, Maine. Let's see how this show pans out.
Absolutely. Probably going to have a whole bunch of tolls that come by mail and a lot of speeding tickets, too, going from Oxford, Maine all the way to here in Atlanta, Georgia, and, well, about 8 minutes flat. So definitely some kind of record for sure. But taking a quick look here at the front row, timing and scoring, still trying to get caught up to the field. The number 2 car is on the inside, and there you see the 48. The City Chevrolet is on the outside there as well. So a couple of quick times, quick qualifiers up front, waiting for that pace car to make that hard left-hand turn down pit road, set these drivers loose for some racing action here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely, and we are very excited to have a full field of Cup cars here tonight. A lot of great drivers here. Everybody's looking strong here at Atlanta. It's going to be a big show here and a pretty rough racetrack, so they're going to be slipping and sliding.
Already 3 wide up towards the front. You can see the 00. Tim Wortman Jr. holding on to the bottom side there. The Sim Seats 00. Patrick McLendon holds on to the pole position that he earned in qualifying. He's still going to hold on to that lead. There you can see the 48 machine of Michael Miller. He drops back into 3rd position comfortably. The 00 doesn't want to stay in that 2nd position for very long. He dips on down low. He's shooting for the lead.
We are 1 lap into this one, about 100 laps the distance here tonight. It's going to be pretty exciting here. Patrick McLendon leading the field so far. Tim Wortman Jr. trying to close in just in behind in the 00.
Don't look now, but the 5 car is starting to make a peek in there. Wade Palmer, the 4th, already up into 3rd position. Caution comes out on the racetrack. See if we can find out. There you can see some big-time damage to the number 9 Napa machine of Matt Mack, and we'll see if we can pull up the Raise Energy instant replay and find out exactly what went on with these drivers. Looks like happened anywhere somewhere between 10-15th on back, and, oh, there's a whole bunch of drivers involved in this one. Pulling up the Raise Energy Drink instant replay, and we're going to take a peek at it from the blimp and see just what went down. You can see the 9 car was up top, and So the 66 and the 19 get into the wall separately, and it just looks like as they were collected, car on its lid, big hit there. Looks like the 38 skates on through, the 47 with some contact, 41, 74, 20, 10. A lot of these drivers all getting some big, heavy damage. A lot of bumper car action working, it looks like from 15th on back. There you can see the number 9 of Matt Mackin kind of limping away. Front end damage is pretty heavy on that number 9 machine, but we'll see what he can do here. Got plenty of time, 100 laps here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for this one. 3 are in the books, so still 97 to go. Plenty of time to get that car worked on and try and make his way back up towards the front.
And when you hear at Atlanta and things happen in front of you, things happen in a hurry. And this rough racetrack doesn't have much grip in it anymore. A lot of slipping and sliding, so when a car comes up and it gets into your groove and where you are on the track, it's all going to fall apart real quick. And as we saw, a couple of drivers there are already having a bad night.
But it gives these drivers just a few more moments to kind of get everything strapped back in, make sure the wheel is strapped onto the desk, make sure they good and hydrated here before the race. 100 laps here at Atlanta is definitely a tall order. You can take a quick look at the track info here. You can see it's a 1.5 miles. Track temp right now, 95 degrees, so definitely going to be hot and slick here. The weather, take a quick peek at that, 70 degrees, partly cloudy, a little bit of wind heading in the north direction, but nothing too crazy here. And first caution here at Atlanta Motor Speedway here for the Showtime Cup Series. Up front, though, it's still the number 2 car, the number 2, Patrick McGlendon, holding on to that lead. Tim Wortman Jr., Wade Palmer the 4th, Michael Miller, and Pete Polini rounding out the top 5.
Beautiful looking race cars here tonight. It's always great here to be here with the Showtime Cup Series. My first time getting to see these race cars on track. Very excited to see some close racing. As we saw early last year with the real life Cup Series drivers trying to fill some time during the initial COVID outbreak, they got racing with iRacing, and I think a lot of people kind of perked their ears up and went, iRacing, what's this all about? And jumped on, and it's a great place to really get your feet wet with some racing. We've seen some real-life drivers get their start here in the series.
Absolutely, and it's really been kind of a hit-or-miss thing with the pandemic here with Verdane TV. It's kind of touchy for us because, obviously we don't want to wish harm on anybody, but if there's no real-life racing, iRacing kind of picks up, sim racing kind of picks up, and that's what we did last March. Crazy to think we've already been doing this for almost a year here at Verdane TV, and lots of stuff coming up, lots of events booked solidly throughout the first half of the 2021 season. Going over the schedule here with the staff. Just a few moments ago here before this race, we actually found that we've got at least four live events a week, every single week from now until the month of May, not including the week of Easter. So very excited to not just be a flash in the pan here at Verdane TV. We're going to be around for a long, long time, and very, very grateful for all the viewers and the leagues and league admins, sponsors, drivers, but especially the fans. And we want to thank you guys for tuning in here tonight on Facebook and on YouTube. I've got my Twitch up, Strictly94 as well, because we haven't quite made affiliate over there yet. But the lights are off on the pace car, doubling them up, lining them up 2 by 2. Jesse, meet Kyle. Kyle, tag me in.
Glad to be here, Paul. Good to be at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, a fantastic facility for NASCAR racing, and we're going to see that here tonight. Apparently, already getting a few laps in as well, as we're getting ready to go green flag racing here. Looks like at the completion of lap number 6, so still plenty of racing left to go, and should be a fun one. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're going to have to fire that secretary, Kyle. Apparently it was a 9:05 start, not a 9:15 start. So lap 6, quick little caution, couple of drivers involved. You're caught up to speed.
Glad to do so. So here we go, getting ready for the restart here on lap number 6. Your current race leader in that number 2 machine. I'm still trying to load up into the server, so I don't have first names right now, but that is the 2 machine of McClendon. Tim Wortman Jr. on to the outside there in the 00. The pace car will duck down to pit road, And we go back to green flag racing here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. A beautiful start there by the 2 machine of McClendon. He will easily clear out into the race lead. Second place, Tim Wortman Jr. also able to drop down into a lane of his own for position number 2. The battle continuing to rage on, though, for third, and it will end coming off of turn number 2. That is Michael Miller going into position number 3, but we are still, however, side by side for fourth.
Michael Miller looking at the spot in the 48 car, the City Chevrolet car to the outside. Ooh, look at the 5 of Wade Palmer there. Had to take his line away, and here comes the 31 of Pete Polini ducking to the inside of the Cole Trickle colors.
Oh, big wiggle there by Michael Miller. He's into the outside wall and spins down to the apron in turn number 2. He's trying to gather it up all by himself. We will see if the caution flag flies. So far, it does not. We stay green. He's trying to get the car back going, and I think, Jesse, we're going to stay under green flag here as he's getting the car back up to speed.
Tough break for driver number 48, Michael Miller. He's going to lose a whole lot of ground to the top 2 up front. Patrick McClendon holds on to the spot, but here comes Tim Wortman Jr. in the Sim Seats 00. Wortman working down the backstretch now in his tire tracks and into turn number 3. Wortman going to try and drive in deep, but McClendon with a little bit of an advantage in the money line number 2. He'll hold on to the lead 10 laps into this one.
Top 5 or 6 cars or so, fairly tightly packed, still a couple laps after this restart, not much separation amongst them. You can see the third place driver there, the 5 machine of Wade Palmer, the 4th, using a bit of a higher line through turns number 1 and 2 there, going through the middle of the racetrack while the top 2 are running around the bottom. Looks like everybody, for the most part, going to drop down to the bottom side of the track here in turns 3 and 4. Your top 2 tightly packed up against each other, and then a little bit of separation between 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Tim Wortman Jr. applying a lot of pressure to the back bumper of McClendon's number 2 machine.
Great run for Pete Polini. Polini got a good run in the middle of turns 1 and 2 that time. And talking about the top 2 up front, Tim Wortman Jr. now to the inside in the Sim Seats 00, side by side in turn number 3. And here comes Patrick McClendon back to the outside, the money line car. He's going to ease off just a bit, and at the line, Wortman Jr. going to lead that lap, but he's going to push back into turn number 1.
Wortman with the advantage. Will he clear coming off of turn number 2? It looks like he will. Slowly slides up. He might be running out of time, but is able to do so. Patrick McClendon was almost able to squeeze back to the outside of Wortman's 00 machine there, but Wortman was able to slam the door on his fingers, and he will take full possession of the race lead now. Still about a half a second ahead of the battle going on for positions 3 through 6 right now. You can see side by side with Ed Boyles Jr. in the 88 machine as he goes underneath of the 5 of Wade Palmer, the 4th. Palmer going way to the top side of the racetrack. Boyles will get on by, and now that opens up the door for last week's winner at Phoenix, Tommy Kelly, to try to enter himself into the top 5.
Tommy Kelly looking to go back-to-back here on the high banks of Atlanta. Pushes right to the quarter panel of the 5 of Wade Palmer as they come down the front stretch to the extreme inside. Not able to make the line happen that time. But it looks like Polini going to bring Ed Boyles Jr. towards the front of the field. And they may be closing in just a little bit, each and every lap, a little bit closer to the front of the field.
Yeah, they definitely are. Now that those 2 drivers have been able to get around the 5 machine of Palmer, they're definitely starting to reel in your top 2, making this, it could make it a 4-car battle for the race lead here early on. Pete Polini in the 31 machine, Ed Boyles Jr. in the 88, and then there you can see on your screen Tommy Kelly in car number 3. He is able to get himself into the top 5, trying to continue to build the momentum that he had last week at the Phoenix Raceway. A dominating performance, dominating victory. He would love to go back-to-back here tonight.
Knock on the door of Grandma's house, grab the big blanket, and put it over the top 4. It is close up front. The 00 Tim Wortman Jr. now starting to pull away, but Pete Polini up to second, side by side for the 3rd spot now. The 88 of Boyles Jr. in the nationwide number 88, going to work to the inside of the money line Ford. That's the 2 of Patrick McClendon. He's dropping back a little bit in a car number 2.
McLennan will fall back to position number 4 here after taking the restart of this race in the race lead. So your pole sitter starting to drop just a few positions here. Could maybe be a tire strategy move. Could maybe just being a little bit slower than what the drivers around him are. And he's trying to figure out how to get back to the front of the field. Still plenty of time for him to be able to do that. He's working the middle of the racetrack now through turns 1 and 2. And that's going to open the bottom up for Tommy Kelly in the 3 machine to take a peek underneath. He's going to find room underneath of McLendon going down the back straightaway. It'll be an even fight going into turn number 3. Tommy Kelly looking for more, trying to take over 4th from Patrick McLendon.
Kelly looking at the final podium spot now, side by side off turn number 4 this time as they head through the tri-oval. Photo finished at the line, 18 laps into this one. Oh, got to watch out for some lap traffic there with the 41, and that's going to allow Tommy Kelly to work his way up to the 4th spot.
So Kelly completes the pass for position number 4 and slowly closing in on these drivers is the 13 machine of Preston Puryear. Puryear trying to get himself into the top 5 and continue the train that is running through the 2 machine of Patrick McLendon. Behind the 13 machine is Wade Palmer, the 4th. Palmer starting to drop off quite a bit from the drivers in front of him. He was up in position number 3 just a handful of laps ago, but he has fallen back to position number 7 and is now 1 second behind this 3-car battle going on for position number 4. So Wade Palmer finding some room of his own to work that HendrickCars.com number 5 machine around this racetrack and figure out what he can do with it later on in the show.
And the thing to think about with Atlanta as well is, as we've mentioned, the rough racetrack, the rough surface on this one. So the guys out front may have the advantage out front right now, but if they push too much, that car's going to get a little slippy, a little slidey, and they could reel right back into 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th and really make this interesting up front.
And that's the part of this racetrack that really challenges the drivers and really brings out the best in them. Okay, sure, anybody can find speed and they can find comfort with fresh tires early in a run in a good handling race car. It's later in these green flag runs when the tires are worn out, when the car's starting to slip and slide, when you're struggling to find traction, that's when you really find out who's the master at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So we're still pretty early on in this green flag run, but as we develop and get closer to the halfway mark, if we stay green flag, then those factors will really start to become a major play in this race, and we're starting to see the battle for the race lead heat up here, Jesse. Top 3 cars are now underneath of a blanket. Pete Polini continuing his charge through the field. He started back in 7th. He is on the back bumper of race leader Tim Wortman Jr. It'll be fun to see if he can find a way around the 00.
And we see the 00 pushing up a little bit. Wortman had a great drive here in the first 20 laps of this one, and Pete Polini just kept checking off cars each and every lap. He was picking off another car, and now up front, it's the 31 of Pete Polini off turn number 4, new leader at Atlanta.
So Pete Polini completes the drive through the field. He will take over the number 1 spot, working through some lap traffic. Not only will Tim Wortman Jr. lose the race lead, he will also lose position number 2 as Ed Boyles Jr. gets on by in the number 88 machine. And don't look now, here comes Tommy Kelly, continuing to follow through the field, do the same thing that Polini has done. Kelly now reeling in the 00 machine, closing in on the back bumper as they enter turn number 3. You see the number 9 machine getting to the outside of the racetrack. Matt Mackin letting the leaders go on by, not wanting to affect their race. That's going to allow Tommy Kelly to peek to the inside, going through the quad oval. Battle for 3rd rages into turn number 1.
Tommy Kelly to the inside now, to the extreme inside of Wortman in the 00, and they will have a duel down the backstretch as the 48 now in danger of going a lap down here at Atlanta. He was up front early in this race, but Michael Miller not having a great run here tonight at Atlanta, and Pete Polini closing in a hurry on the back bumper of the 48.
Polini has made quick work of the drivers behind him. He has already opened up half a second on second place, Ed Boyles Jr. And we'll remind you here that the 48 machine, Michael Miller, was running up towards the front of the field early on in this green flag run. Made a small mistake, got up into the outside wall, spun himself around in turns 1 and 2, It was a solo spin. The caution flag did not fly, and now he's trying to hang on and keep his lead lap. But it looks like he's going to give way to Pete Polini and try to hope to get the caution flag soon so he can get the free pass. He will be in position for that as he's the first car on the lead lap. And taking a look at timing and scoring, James Kerr, the last car on the lead lap after this pass is complete. But he is only 18 seconds behind, so Polini's got a ways to go before he laps that 10 machine.
21 cars now in the lead lap of this one, just past the 1/4 mark of this race. Looking back in second, Tommy Kelly continuing to put pressure, trying to catch the inside of that tri-oval as he comes through the corner. That's really the line you want to have here at Atlanta, try and catch the tri-oval and do a little bit of, like just coming from Oxford, coming a little bit of an arc down the front stretch, see if you can get a little bit of drive into turn number 1. The 88 of Ed Boyles Jr. having a mirror full of the 3, the Bass Pro Shop Chevy.
Kelly really starting to apply the pressure now to Ed Boyles Jr. as they come off of turn number 4. Lap 27 will go in the books. Michael Miller giving way down on the bottom for these leaders to go on by. Tommy Kelly not able to get up next to that 88 just yet, still trying to work him over and close in. But while he is doing that, it is smooth sailing for Pete Polini, continuing to extend the race lead. He is now up to 0.8 of a second, maybe more than a second once he comes by and clicks off this next lap. That 31 machine, oh so smooth around here, and he is teammates with Tommy Kelly. So the RCR guys had a very strong showing last week at Phoenix, trying to do the same thing here tonight early on in this race. They're looking pretty strong.
And as you can see now, they've moved up about half a groove up the racetrack. Ed Boyles Jr. and Tommy Kelly in the 3. Looking for a little bit more speed here as the tires have started to end their usefulness here 30 laps in. This track is tough and it's gritty, and a lot of these drivers are going to start searching for speed, and that's when the mistakes happen.
Without a doubt, I was even seeing it a little bit there watching Michael Miller try to get out of the way of these leaders. He was starting to struggle with some of the handling on his race cars. So, tight there with the 66 and the 88. That is going to be a huge advantage for Tommy Kelly. He's got another lap car down on the bottom of the racetrack, so that kind of prevented him from making a move going into turn number 3. But a close call there as the 66 machine, I believe it was, almost making contact with the 88 of Ed Boyles Jr. Fortunately, everybody able to get through it, and we stay green. Almost cost Ed Boyles position number 2, but Tommy Kelly will continue to match his car number and stay in position number 3 for the moment.
Yeah, the 66 Kenny Coppola here tonight at Atlanta, not having the drive that he would like to have, but trying to get out of the way of the leaders. That's the gentleman thing to do, and we've got a car stopped over in the corner. It's the 5, and Wade Palmer. Wow. We're going to have to check and see what happened with that one. He was having a solid run here tonight, but something seems to have come undone in the Hendrick cars, number 5.
It was a rough week last week for that number 5 machine for both Wade Palmers. We have a 4th and a 5th racing with us here in the Showtime Cup Series. Both drivers struggled last week at the Phoenix Raceway. Wade Palmer, the 4th, having a very strong run in the early stages of this race. And taking a look back at it myself here, he made some contact with that 66 machine of Kapala, and it tore up the front end of that number 5 machine. He parked it on the apron, brought it to pit road, and we will stay green flag. So the dismal run continues, unfortunately, for Wade Palmer, the 4th, and it looks like now we actually got a couple cars down on pit road here. Could we potentially be seeing some green flag pit stops?
I would imagine so. This track, Pete Woodrum right now in the 4 car, bringing his car to pit road. The Kevin Harvick colors, the 95, Ken Allard as well, bringing his car to pit road. As we talked about, this track really gritty, really rough. So no surprise, a lot of these guys are bringing their cars to pit road. Now we get to see some race strategy play out here tonight at Atlanta.
And it makes you wonder what that's going to do for the drivers up at the front of the field. Usually when one car pits, it creates a wildfire of pit stops amongst the entire field. That's usually how it goes in the real world. We'll see how it happens here in the sim world. Pete Polini still out in front, extending that lead. Tommy Kelly has been able to make the pass on Ed Boyles Jr. for position number 2. So you got 2 RCR cars currently running in the top 2 spots. And Tommy Kelly is doing a good job of opening up a gap on that 88 car. Nearly half a second already. Just made the pass not that long ago, and he's starting to run away, so maybe Tommy Kelly doing a better job of conserving his tires than some of the competitors around him. Now that we got teammates up in the top 2 spots, it'll be fun to see if Polini can hang on to that lead, or if Tommy Kelly's going to start reeling him in and start to challenge for that number 1 spot.
And the question is, with these green flag pit stops, like, we're not in the car, we're not in the mindsets of these drivers, but is it actually time for green flag pit stops, or has some of the back markers in the field maybe playing a little bit of games with the drivers up front, maybe getting in their minds, making them think, oh, maybe I should short pit with this race here tonight?
That's a very fair possibility. There's only 11 cars on the lead lap right now, and we saw what we are seeing what we saw last week at Phoenix. It didn't take long for these guys to really get spaced out. So there could be a lot of different strategies going on. Of course, that early caution in this race, putting some people behind the 8 ball just a little bit with crash damage or other different strategy moves. So you never quite know. It seems that the majority of our front runners right now are hanging in their positions. They haven't really made any moves, have shown any signs of making any pit stops just yet. So I believe that we're going to be okay for some of our front drivers, but it looks like some of the drivers that are off of the lead lap right now, they are trying to work on some strategy and maybe improve their nights.
And if you're trying to work your way back towards the lead lap, you want to push a little bit, but you don't want to push too much and undo the hard work of getting yourself back on the lead lap only to have a spin or have some kind of contact with another car or the wall. So once you get back in the lead lap, play it a little bit smooth here for the moment, see how things kind of unfold themselves. We got the leader, Pete Polini, now coming to pit road. And Kyle, he slides into his pit stall. Wow, that was a little scary there for a moment.
At least your top 4 cars are on pit road. Pete Polini, Tommy Kelly, Tim Wortman Jr., Preston Perrier, all down on pit road. You made mention there, Pete Polini near disaster as he entered pit road. Got in there a little too hot, got in there a little sideways, was able to gather it up. He's going to lose some time. Oh, and Tim Wortman Jr., he overshoots his pit stall. He is way too close to the pit wall. He is all sorts of messed up. That is going to cost him a ton of time. He is still trying to fix that car. He is in there all terribly. The top 2 cars have left their pit stall, and Tim Wortman Jr. was still trying to get himself parked in his, so a very big mistake by Tim Wortman Jr. He's going to lose a lot of time here.
Oh, tough break for the 00. Tim Wortman was one of the drivers at the beginning of this one who was really showing his muscle up front, but right now Charles Stevens, the provisional leader in car number 20, still cycling through pit stops, but the 20 holding on to the spot right now. Pete Polini really trying to capitalize on the mistakes of his competitors. See if the 31 can end up back up front.
Well, right now he's got to deal with a battle from Ed Boyles Jr. Boyles Jr., one of the drivers that also... Oh, and look at this. Caution flag has flown in the middle of this cycle. So add some more drama into it here, Jesse. We have a caution flag during this green flag pit cycle, and it appears that it has to do with the 48 machine of Michael Miller once again. Got himself all sorts of out of shape. You can see it there. Lots of damage on that City Chevrolet number 48 ride. He is in trouble, and he has thrown a loophole for these drivers. Caution flag in the middle of green flag pit stops.
And we'll head to our Raise Energy replay with Paul Strickland Jr. Paul, tell us a little bit about what happened here with Michael Miller.
Yeah, taking a look at the number 48, the City Chevrolet machine of Michael Miller. You can see it almost looks like he tried to get down pit road, but he forgot to slow down a little bit, and he gets big time tagged there in the back end of that race car. So you can see there's some black smoke coming out of the back of that machine. He is done for the evening. Already pulled that car down on pit road, it looks like, so he's going to be retiring from this event. But looking at timing and scoring, there was only 4 drivers on the lead lap, so we're going to have to see what iRacing does with the wave around. I believe everybody will have the opportunity to get waved around the pace car, but it also gives those top 4 drivers that are on the lead lap the opportunity to come down, get some more tires, and top off on fuel, just in case this ends up being a fuel mileage race later on tonight.
It's worth mentioning one of our top 5 drivers before the pit stops had a wild excursion to get through that one. Preston Perrier had to go through the infield grass to get through that mess. He was able to keep the car pointed in the right direction, so no damage amongst that number 13 Geico Chevrolet ride, which is good for him, but a bit of a scary ordeal there to have to deal with that just after your green flag pit stop. So things going to be all sorts of shaken up here. We'll see how they all work out as drivers make their pit stops that haven't already. We'll have cars taking wave rounds. There will be at least one free pass, and I can see there are already a plentiful of drivers that are going to stay out here and take the wave round and get back on the lead lap.
It's going to make this restart really exciting here in Atlanta. Just a few laps time. Just thinking back to that Michael Miller spin. Once he kind of got pointed in the right direction, whether it was the car or just trying to react to the situation, but I noticed he got on the brakes and really slowed himself up, and I think that is what opened himself up to getting tagged once again and maybe ending his night. At a track like Atlanta, you really want to be careful about being in the racing lane and being slow. These corners are fast, and guys are going to catch up on you.
And Paul was right with his assumption after that incident. Michael Miller is done for the night, so the City Chevrolet will be parked for the remainder of the event. Too much damage for him to continue. We can also make mention that Kenny Capala, that 66 machine, who was a part of a green flag incident with a 5 of Wade Palmer, the 4th. Actually, both of those drivers are also out of the race, so those 3 drivers will join Jonathan Coombs and Tim Ingram as DNFs of this event. I believe those are the only 5 cars that are out of the race right now. I know Evan Amick is back there in 30th place, 19 laps down, but I do believe that he is still logging laps around this racetrack. So out of the 34 drivers, we're approaching the halfway mark. Only 5 of them that I know of for sure that are out of the race, so we still have just under 30 cars out on the racetrack. Lots of cars off the lead lap, though. We're currently showing only 15 on the lead lap. Of course, things will get set in stone and confirmed once we get the green flag and we get these wave round cars by, but it looks like we'll have 15 on the lead lap once we go green.
Very exciting racing here tonight with the Showtime Cup Series here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Looking like a little bit of cloud cover possibly coming to turns 3 and 4 now. Things may be changing up here for the back half of this race. Still quite a ways to go, but drivers pushing these cars quite a bit, and now the weather is going to change a little. I know a lot of guys are probably rethinking their strategy to see if maybe they might have screwed themselves for the back half of this one.
I believe Paul has some track information for us that he can throw up on the screen to let the viewers know what these drivers are dealing with. I'm currently seeing the track temperature did just go down a little bit. It just dropped to 93 degrees on track, 70 degrees in the atmosphere, but a 93-degree track temperature. The hotter the racetrack is, the slicker it is, the harder it is to find grip. So with this cloud cover coming over, you may not think it has an impact on the sim, but it really does. It can help cool this racetrack off a little bit, create a little more grip, not a ton more grip, but losing some degree in the racetrack can help these race cars. As we are double file up, we're getting set to go green. It'll be Ed Boyles Jr. and Pete Polini on the front row, the wave around cars catching up to the rear of the field and getting set for a restart here with 55 laps to go.
Ed Boyles Jr. in the Nationwide Chevy. Pete Polini to the outside in car number 31. The beautiful Mustang pace car going to pull off into the pit area. Boyles and Polini on row number 1, and they are going to see the green flag here in just a moment. On the hammer now, green flag in the air. What a great drive for the Nationwide Chevy. Pete Polini now going to try and reel him back in down into turn number 1.
Smooth start amongst the front runners. Lots of space already inside the top 5. Your top 3 cars with a bit of a breakaway back to, well, fourth in line is the 47 of Alonzo King, but he's a couple laps down. Your fourth place driver is actually marred back in between some lapped cars. That's the 20 machine of Charles Stevens. He's got some cushion, well, a cushion on the 95 car. That is a car off the lead lap. He's going to look to the inside to try to get around the 20 machine, and that's exactly what Patrick McClendon would like to see, as the 2 machine of McClendon is racing that 20 car for position. He will get on by the 95 will, and that opens up the door for the 2 of McClendon side-by-side racing off of turn number 2. That is for position 4.
And we saw, looks like a couple of cars up with a little bit of damage, a little bit of smoke coming through the corner. So everybody able to keep going. It just looked like a little scary moment here on the... But, man, these cars are really hauling the mail here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Charles Stevens there now working his way under the 19 car, it looks like. And it looks like Trevor Absher. He's a couple laps down. He's about 8 laps down at the moment, but these guys having to work some lap traffic now. And it's making it exciting as we get to the halfway point.
Yeah, with the way that restart took place and with how the caution fell, a handful of lap cars started up amongst the leaders, so that's what these drivers are having to deal with right now. Some lapped cars inside the top 5, but you're checking out the battle for the race lead. Did not take long for Pete Polini to start challenging Ed Boyles Jr. for position number 1. He is looking to the inside going into turn number 3. Can't quite make the move that time. Tommy Kelly right up on the back bumper of the 31 machine. 3 cars under a blanket racing for the race lead here. Lap 49 goes in the books. The next time by, we will see the cross flags, and we will be halfway through tonight's 100-lap race here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the SHOWTIME Cup Series.
About 150 miles for this one. Polini planted to the racetrack here, and he's got Tommy Kelly trying to close in now, closing into the quarter panel. Everybody jumping to the inside. And Polini's sliding up a little bit off turn number 4, hoping to make the arc work. Down the front stretch, he's able to gain about a car length on Ed Boyles Jr. And now he's going to try and work to the inside now. Lap traffic going to play a factor now. Will Polini be able to make the pass off turn number 2?
Polini stays in line for the moment, doesn't look to make a challenge going into turn number 3. Both drivers entering into the middle, all 3 of them, they enter in the middle of the racetrack, come back down to the bottom, and then wash up. The diamond line, as they say, trying to maximize speed, maximize grip, keep the car underneath of them. They cross the start-finish line, completing lap number 51. So we're now beyond the halfway point here for this event. Great battle going on for your race lead. Top 3 cars separating themselves. Some lap cars in the mix. There looks like to be about 4 or 5 lap cars in between this battle going on for position number 3 and 4th place Charles Stevens. So Stevens has a lot of work to do if he wants to get up and contend with these drivers. He's about 3 seconds off of this 3-car battle. So not really too much going on at the moment here, Jesse. The battle's starting to calm down just a little bit. They're staying tightly packed, but they just can't quite find a way to get around each other just yet.
Well, I think they've made themselves a nice cushion here between themselves and Charles Stevens and Wade Palmer the 5th. So I don't know if they want to force the issue too much here at Atlanta. I mean, it's going to look like it based on how these cars race and how this track runs, but I think right now they just want to kind of have their own little battle up front, let the laps click off, and then when it gets down to crunch time, then that's when they get on the hammer.
We made mention, not exactly sure what the fuel mileage looks like for these cars, but with half a race left to go, it at least has to enter your head. Are they going to have to make another pit stop for tires or not? Are they thinking about going all the way to the end, or will they split this run up and go for tires? Either way, we got a battle for the race lead going on. Pete Polini finally getting underneath of Ed Boyles Jr., looking to take over. He's got the lead at the line, not quite clear yet. The bottom opening up for Tommy Kelly. He wants to file through and get those RCR cars back to 1-2 on the scoreboard. Boyles will lose the battle, sliding up in front is Pete Polini, barely hanging on and having enough space to make that move. So Polini will clear for the race lead, and now Tommy Kelly trying to do the same in the center of 3 and 4.
That could have been a disastrous move for Pete Polini, but he's able to make it stick side by side for the runner-up spot now. Tommy Kelly trying to go back-to-back. He won in the desert in Atlanta, or in Phoenix rather, and tonight Atlanta looks to be his next target on the win list. He's up to second now. Ed Boyles Jr. back to third.
So the RCR cars go back to 1 and 2. Ed Boyles Jr. trying to hang on to the back bumper of the 3 machine of Tommy Kelly. See if he can at least stick with these drivers after losing those positions. And I think Ed Boyles Jr. may have been on a different pit strategy than those top 5 cars prior to that caution flag, because I don't remember seeing him down on pit road with that group of 4 that came in. So I believe he may have been on a bit of a different strategy. Whether that caution helped him or hurt him or not, I guess we'll have to wait to find out. But currently sticking with these guys, and there you can see Charles Stevens in position number 4, still trying to work his way through that lap traffic to clear the way between him and the race leaders. He's lost about another second. He's 4 seconds back now to the race leaders, but still working through some of that lap traffic. And there's Tim Wortman Jr. Maybe that caution worked out great for that 00 machine, because he had a disastrous pit stop, and he's back inside the top 5 in position 5.
Preston Puryear to his outside just momentarily, and trying to figure out the line around this racetrack for the 13 car. He's having a great battle with Tim Wortman for the final spot in the top 5. Cars all over this racetrack, trying high, trying low, trying the middle groove, seeing what will stick here at Hotlanta.
Preston Puryear trying to get back inside the top 5 at the moment. The lap machine of Alonzo King right in front of these drivers. King currently running in position number 20. He is 2 laps down. He's going to open up the bottom for these drivers. He doesn't want to get involved. He'd like to just let them scoot on by and continue to run his own race. So that is exactly what he is going to do. The 00 and the 13 will slide on around 47 machine, and they can continue this battle for position number 5. Patrick McClendon is back in position number 7. He was challenging for a top 5 spot early on in this run, but has since slipped off of that and has found a home in position number 7. He's almost 3 seconds behind that 2-car battle going on for 5th place up in front of him, and he's got a slight cushion over Sean Stamper in the 21 behind him in position number 8. And then behind Stamper is Caleb Levener in the 12 machine. Completing your top 10 is the 4 of Pete Woodrum.
Great running here tonight from our Showtime Cup Series drivers here at Atlanta. We're looking at Pete Woodrum right now. The 10th place position is where the 4 car is at the moment, running the middle groove of the racetrack. And great for the Bush number 4, Bush with a lot of H's, on the side of that race car. And, the 4 car having a great run here tonight.
Indeed, he is kind of in a world of his own right now. He's got some space to work on in front of him, and he's got a bit of a gap back to Joshua Noland in position number 11. So just kind of logging some laps here and seeing how the cards will play out in the final half of this race. Now down to 39 laps to go. Lots of green flag racing in this event, and you would think 100 miles at a 1.5-mile track, yeah, it takes a little bit of time to get through, but when you continue to run these laps of green flag, I believe we've only had 2 cautions thus far, so with these drivers running about 31, 32-second lap times, they click off after a while, and you get deep down into the run, and before you know it, we're getting ready to talk about the checkered flag. Still a little ways to go, 38 laps to go now, as we'll rejoin the battle going on for the race lead up at the front of the field. Pete Polini in car number 31 trying to hang on over his teammate who picked up the win last week at Phoenix Raceway. 0.3 of a second separating these 2 RCR cars. Lap 63 goes in the books, and the gap tightens up just a little bit. Tommy Kelly gains another 10th on his teammate and race leader, Pete Polini.
We just saw the fastest lap of the race there, a 29.467 from Preston Puryear, and right now they're running about 38s, 39s, maybe 31 flats. So the pace has really dropped off here with these tires, with this racetrack, but up front, it is a whale of a battle as they get by Matt Mackin in the Napa Chevrolet. Pete Polini holding on to a 1-car length lead, but Tommy Kelly really trying to make that inside groove work, really trying to stick to the apron of the racetrack, see if it can get him anything towards the front of the field.
They'll clear the lap machine of Matt Mackin and have plenty of clear track in front of them to work with. Tommy Kelly trying to plan his move, figure out what he needs to do to get around Pete Polini. He wants to do it the right way. These guys are teammates, can't have any foul play between these two drivers, but you also want to make sure you make the move at the right point. Still plenty of opportunities for Polini to challenge back and work his way back into the lead. And you also have to conserve your equipment. We've talked about how easy it is to burn up your stuff here, and if this continues on for a lengthy run, what could determine who wins this race is who did a better job at saving their tires.
Yeah, and who was able to stay off the wall or stay off each other. All it takes is one little slip up the racetrack, one little wiggle around the racetrack, and somebody's going to sneak on through and steal the victory from you, rather. It's exciting here tonight. These top two drivers really putting on a show as they work their way past the 74 once again. Another lap down for the 74 car as Pete Polini makes his way to lap number 68 unofficial.
Seems like Tommy Kelly's starting to experiment with this racetrack a little bit. He's working around, trying different lanes and seeing what he can work with that will allow him to make this pass for the lead. You just saw going into turn number 1 there. He went a little bit higher. Let's see what he does here in turn number 3. He has a bit of a lower entry than what Pete Polini is doing down on the race lead. So they both eventually get down to the bottom of the racetrack and run the same line through the center of the turn, but Tommy Kelly is starting to experiment just a little bit on his entries.
And something to watch as well with those seams going up from the first groove to the second groove up to the third groove. Believe it or not, with enough speed, that's going to unsettle the car a little bit. And if you're going to ride the seam like that, you better have a car with some good downforce and hope it's planted there as you see he's going to drop all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. Not losing any ground on Pete Polini, trying to make Polini nervous, trying to make Polini make a little bit of a mistake now.
So far, Polini's been able to keep the pressure at bay, looking very smooth out in front of this race, not really making too many mistakes at all. Both of these cars looking very, very smooth around this 1.5 mile quad oval racetrack, and it's showing why that they are the best two cars on the docket. After getting clear of Ed Boyles Jr., they've opened up a 3-second gap back to him, who is continuing to run back there in third with really no pressure. He's got about 5 seconds on the fourth place driver, Charles Stevens. So Ed Boyles Jr. basically in a world of his own right now, just trying to log laps and hoping to see those two RCR teammates race a little bit harder and burn their stuff up to where maybe he has an opportunity to steal the win, as you were just saying, Jesse, later on.
And if they're going to make a mistake, he's going to want to be closer through them. We're going to take our way through the field now. Charles Stevens with a great run in the 20 car here tonight. We talked about Preston Purrier a little bit earlier on. He's had the fastest lap of the race. 13 car looking solid now in fifth. He's worked his way past the 0-0 of Tim Wortman Jr., who had a disastrous pit stop, but the caution came out at the right time, saved him a little bit, and Wortman could look at a top 10 run now.
Position number 7, we've got the 14 machine of Derek Cook. Derek Cook started in position number 32 tonight. My goodness. A contender for sure for the biggest mover up, 25 positions now in position number 7, and he's actually the last car on the lead lap. So I think I've been starting to see some drivers, starting to make some pit stops here. So we may have one more cycle of pits to deal with before this thing is said and done, as I believe Tim Wortman Jr. just made a pit stop out of position number 6. As you can see there, the 22 machine, Marshall Layton, currently the first car, 1 lap down. And there you have it, Tim Wortman Jr. on pit road. Ed Boyles Jr. is there with him. So final pit stops going on for our race leaders. This is the money stop, Jesse. You got to be perfect here.
Oh, and the 3 of Tommy Kelly spinning on pit road as you were saying that. So he is not on the money here tonight. Tommy Kelly may have just thrown away this chance at a win here tonight. And now he's got to hope that Pete Polini makes a mistake on pit road. We already saw a little bit of a lockup from the 31 earlier on in the night, so I'm sure Polini is going to try and tighten up this pit stop a little bit.
Well, if you check it for yourself there, Jesse, he too made a mistake. He slid off of pit road and into the infield grass. He took out the commitment cone, so I don't know if there is going to be a penalty for that 31 machine or not for an unsafe entry. We'll have to keep our eyes on that one, but the RCR teammates, they've dominated this race. They've looked very good. Both drivers may have just thrown this race away.
And that may be what the 88 of Ed Boyles Jr. wanted to see. At the moment, unofficially 2 laps down, but we're still cycling through pit stops, so that will change drastically at the moment. Looking at Derek Cook right now. Cook gonna touch the wall in the Mobile 1 car. In the 14, that's not what he wanted to do. Tommy Kelly works his way past in the 3 car, so Derek Cook maybe pushing the car just a little too much.
I'm starting to feel pretty confident about a penalty on that 31 machine, Jesse. He is still sitting on pit road, motionless, inside that 31 car. So I believe that there is some sort of penalty for the 31 of Pete Polini for that pit entrance. So this just changed the entire complexion of this race. The 2 best cars, one spins out, one with a pit road penalty. This is going to open things up dramatically. Charles Stevens, now Pete Polini just leaving pit road, so a huge penalty for that driver. Charles Stevens is your race leader. Only 2 cars on the lead lap, and he's going to make his way on the pit road now. A very early entry coming down here into turn number 3. I believe that car is still under power. I don't think he's run out of fuel yet, but just trying to make sure he gets down onto pit road safely. Maybe he knows that problems have occurred with amongst the top 2, and he just wants to make sure that he doesn't make a mistake himself and have an opportunity to potentially win this race.
And it's a drastic change of degrees between the racetrack and pit road. So when you come off the banking, the car gets very unsettled, especially if the tires are a little old and the car is a little bit light on fuel. It's easy to make a mistake. As we see Derek Cook here working his way to the bottom groove of the racetrack in the 14 car. He may be ready to come to pit road here in just a few moments, but he tagged the wall a little bit earlier, so we're going to have to watch this 14 car.
Locks the left front up just a little bit, but appears to make a fairly safe entry onto pit road. He'll pull into his stall and see service from his race team for hopefully the final time. And it looks like this is going to hand the battle for the race lead over amongst the 00 machine of Tim Wortman Jr. and the 13 of Preston Purrier. We mentioned earlier that during the first green flag pit stop of the night, Tim Wortman Jr. had a disaster of a pit stop. He got too close to the inside wall, couldn't get the car in the right position to get his service. Now the same issues, different issues for the other competitors on their pit stops, but pit road issues coming into play for some of the other drivers. It gives him an opportunity to battle for the race lead. Preston Purrier going around the outside for the race lead, and despite the spin, Jesse, look who's right behind. Tommy Kelly was able to recover quickly. I don't know if these 2 drivers, maybe they made a mistake of their own, but Tommy Kelly's right there. He still has an opportunity to win this race.
And Pete Polini a couple laps down at this point. Tommy Kelly now into the 3rd spot once again, and he will be closing like a hound dog here tonight at Atlanta. And wow, look at the top 2 there. Preston Purrier, a couple car lengths back to the 00 Tim Wortman. This, I believe, is going to be the group to battle for the win here once it's all said and done.
I have a feeling you're right. Looks like these 3 drivers have about 9 seconds over that guy right there, Joshua Nolan in the number 96 machine. He too taking advantage of some of the drama on pit road as he now enters the top 5 for the first time tonight. Nolan in the number 96 machine started back in 21st. He is currently in position number 4, and there you had the battle going on. Or no, that's not a battle. That is a lapped car. The 21 machine of Sean Stamper completing your top 5 right now. The 8th place starter on the evening, running around there in the Wood Brothers number 21 pretty securely in a top 5 spot. There's Pete Woodrum in car number 4 running in 6th place, and then the last car on the lead lap at the moment after cycling through the stops is the 12 of Caleb Levener.
So as we wind down this 100-lap feature event here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, let's talk a little bit about the future of the Showtime Cup Series. Where are we going to see these cars in the next couple of weeks?
That is a fantastic question, Jesse. I wish I had that information up in front of me. Let me see if I can find that for you.
Looking at Derek Cook right now in the 14. Charles Stevens now on screen in the
Jesse, I'm sorry to cut you off. We've got trouble with Tommy Kelly. He just got caught up with a lap car on the back straightaway. Hard impact for both him and the 10 machine of James Kerr. No caution, though. That's going to eliminate Kelly from contention from this race.
And that's going to be some words exchanged in the garage area a little bit later on. We'll watch the replay. This one had the advantage on Tim Wortman and closes. Oh, and just nowhere to go. And they both hit the wall a ton. Wortman able to work his way past in the 00 and hold on to second spot.
It has gone from bad to worse for the Richard Childress Racing drivers. Pete Polini making a mistake on pit road. Tommy Kelly did too, but he still had an opportunity to contend for this win and gets cleaned out by a lapped machine. They were down off of the racing surface. No caution flown. So now Tommy Kelly, we'll see where he comes across the line here. He is back to, well, he's only back to position number 5, but you can see that car is very slow. Lots of damage off the pace. I'll be impressed if he can make it all finish here. He's only got 16 laps left, but that car is not in good shape.
Kelly going to try and figure out if he's going to limp his way around to the pit area or if he's going to just try and log some laps and get a decent top 10, top 15 finish maybe, but not the night the Tracker Boats Bass Pro Shop Chevy wanted to have.
Not at all, so that eliminates him from contention for the win, and it brings us down to just 2 cars. Preston Purrier right there on your screen, the number 13 Geico Chevrolet Camaro, has the race lead. He took it over from Tim Wortman Jr. around the outside of turn number 4, and he's opened up a gap. Now 1.6 seconds back to Tim Wortman Jr. for the race lead. 14 laps to go. Only 6 cars on the lead lap. You can see Caleb Levener in the background there in the 12 machine. He has the 7th place car and just surrendered his lead lap position to the 13 of Preston Purrier. Purrier trying to run away and hide and look for victory here at Atlanta Motor Speedway tonight.
Purrier's just got to hit his marks in the Geico Chevy. That 13 car has been solid here tonight. And early on, it didn't look like it was going to be his race. It looked like it might have been a top 5, top 10 car, but the way things have unfolded in front of him, that car is in good position to try and ride his way back to the victory lane here tonight, and he's got about 11 or 12 laps to go.
You don't always have to be the best car on the racetrack to grace victory lane, and Preston Purrier very well may see that come true here tonight. He's had a good race car, as Jesse just mentioned. He's been in the top 5 the majority of this race, but with things happening around him, he could take advantage of it and make the trip to victory lane, extending his lead every single lap, so you got to imagine that he is not at all looking forward to a caution flag. There's the 21 of Sean Stamper. He moves into position number 4 to actually make that position number 3 as he just got around the 96 machine of Joshua Nolan for a podium position right now. Running very strong in that 21 machine. Haven't talked a lot about him tonight, but he's starting to make his name known at the right time. He is in 3rd. He's probably going to need a caution if he's going to look for a better finish than position number 3. He's nearly 15 seconds behind Tim Wortman Jr. And there's the 96 machine of Joshua Nolan that he just got around. And Pete Woodrum now inside the top 5 after some of the chaos that has gone on throughout this race.
Great run for Pete Woodrum tonight. Started, looks like about 27th on the grid, so Woodrum really holding his own here in car number 4 as you see Tommy Kelly just trying to make his way back to the checkered flag here tonight. Man, you can't help but feel for Tommy Kelly. A little bit of smoke in front of him. Car might have got loose in front of him, but you can't help but feel for Tommy Kelly. Wanted to go back-to-back here at Atlanta, and it will not be so for the car number.
It's actually a pretty nice battle going on there as Tommy Kelly gets out of the way. That's for position number 8 between Derek Cook and Ed Boyles Jr. Both of these cars 1 lap down, but this is a battle for position here as we get close to the 10 laps to go mark. Actually, I think we're just inside 10 to go. Yep, lap number 92. So getting down to the wire here. Derek Cook, Ed Boyles Jr. fighting hard for position, and there you go, back to the race leader, Preston Puryear. He now has a 2.2 second advantage over Tim Wortman Jr. There was one lap where Wortman Jr. closed in on him, but other than that, it has been all Preston Puryear ever since he took over the race lead. 8 laps of racing to go around the Atlanta Motor Speedway. He is trying to get to victory lane, hoping the caution flag stays in its holster so he can cruise to victory.
And Atlanta tonight proving why it's one of the best racetracks to see Cup Series racing on. These cars are low to the ground, they're heavy, they're fast, and they love this slick surface here at Atlanta. And right now, the 13 of Preston Puryear, the driver out front, the dominant driver, as he looks to click off another lap. Going to be about 7 laps to go now for the 13 car.
So let's build some drama here, Jesse. Not saying it will, not saying it won't, but if the caution flag does fly, I have to imagine it's a pretty easy decision. You got to come down to pit road, right?
I don't know if it's that easy, though. With a couple laps to go, we see that Puryear, even on what I imagine are pretty old tires at this point, he's able to hold on to the spot. I imagine with a restart, he's going to want to stay out with a couple laps to go and hold that outside lane, hold his foot to the floor, and see if he can cruise his way to victory. Fingers crossed now that he doesn't have to worry about that, and he can make it an easy checkered flag here tonight.
I guess the big factor would be determining how many tires are left in the pit stall. So we had 4 tire set limit for this race. That obviously includes the one on the race car at the start. So 3 sets of tires in the pits. Now, I missed the first few laps, but I would assume that these 2 pit stops that I've seen throughout this race are the only pit stops that have been taken amongst the top competitors in this race. So I would have to imagine there's still a set of tires sitting in the pits for these front runners if they want to take it. Again, no guarantees of anything happening here. Still 4 laps to go. It looks fairly at least I feel pretty confident about this one going green until the finish, but that's the beauty of racing. You just never know what's going to happen or how it is going to happen. 4 to go for Preston Puryear. Can he hang on? Can we stay green?
And you mentioned the tire situation as well. Looks like Pete Woodrum might be out of tires. He's the top car so far in 5th that may be out of tires in the pit area. Charles Stevens as well. Marshall Layton back in 11th. Just a handful laps to go now for Preston Puryear as the shade comes back over Atlanta Motor Speedway. 3 laps to go at the line, and this could be Puryear's night in Atlanta. He could lock up a win here tonight, but we thought that about Polini and Tommy Kelly as well.
The gap continuing to grow back to Tim Wortman Jr., and it is just shy of 3 seconds now. So it does not look like anybody is going to be able to apply any pressure to Preston Puryear. If he's going to lose this race, it's either going to come because of a caution flag or a mistake he makes of his own. The popsicle sticks are out. 2 laps to go here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Preston Puryear, 3.1 seconds is the gap back to Tim Wortman Jr. for the race lead, looking to cap off a strong night and going to victory lane with a lap and a half to go.
And it looks like he's going to lap the 4 of Pete Woodrum as well. Up to the 5th spot now. We will come across the stripe this time as Puryear sees the white flag this time at Atlanta Motor Speedway. White flag in the air. Puryear with a great drive so far.
So we will get to the finish under green. No need to worry about the caution flag. Some lap traffic around. Plenty of space back to second. Just needs to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes and he can bring this car back to the line. It's been a great night for him. He's been inside the top 5 for the majority of the show. Didn't necessarily have the best speed amongst this group, but when mistakes happened with some of his competition, he took advantage, and Preston Puryear will go to victory lane here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway tonight for the SHOWTIME Cup Series. His victory is solidified. He will take it to the checkered flag. Preston Puryear, your winner at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Tim Wortman Jr. going to finish in position number 2. Sean Stamper, I've seen some love for him in our comment section. He will finish in position number 3. Joshua Nolan in the 96 machine. He will come home in 4th. And completing your top 5, he was able to hang on to the lead lap The final car on the lead lap, Pete Woodrum will finish in 5th. Caleb Levener coming home 6th. Derek Cook will finish in 7th. Ed Boyles Jr. is 8th place tonight. Charles Stevens is 9th. And completing your top 10 in car number 34 is Stephen Wood.
Well, race fans, wherever you're cheering from here on Vidane TV, let's hear it for the 13 of Preston Puryear at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
He'll go through the spin cycle here on the front straightaway, celebrating the victory. Such a strong performance out of him tonight. Started back in position number 11. Had a little bit of work to do to get himself up towards the front of the field. But once he did, he never left it. He showed a lot of speed. Had a great car to race with. Had some good, strong battles. And the pass he made for the win was on the outside of the racetrack. We've seen most of the passes tonight being down on the bottom, but he made the top side work when he needed it to, and he got the win, held on, and takes the victory. Now working his way around the Atlanta Motor Speedway for an Alan Kulwicki Polish victory lap.
Wow, what a drive here tonight for the Showtime Cup Series, and it all comes together here for the 13 of Preston Puryear. As you said, Polish victory lap, honoring Alan Kulwicki as he did here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And the Geico team going to celebrate in Victory Lane here in just a few moments. Kyle, wow, what a drive here tonight.
A very impressive drive, to say the least. And he's still making his Polish victory lap, but we found a way to tune in with him inside the race car. Preston Puryear, you got the win tonight. What a drive for you. You showed a lot of speed, a lot of strength tonight. But once you've realized that your competitors that probably had faster race cars than you did had some issues, what went through your mind when you knew you had an opportunity to really win this race?
Oh, man, my heart just started beating, and I was just trying to keep it clean. I had already screwed up on pit road a little bit. It cost me a few seconds before the first caution. But, man, what a race.
Preston, take us through some of the challenges that you had to deal with as a driver tonight. We know how old this racing surface is. It's abrasive. It is very hard to handle. But at the same time, it leaves you a lot of options. You made an outside pass to take the lead tonight that we didn't see too many people be able to do. How did this racetrack challenge you, and where were you able to take advantage of it?
Well, I heard the temperatures were dropping about midway through the race, so I dropped some pressure on the left rear, and it really, really helped. And at the end, I found that high line was really getting into gear. I used that to extend the lead to the end. But, man, my teammates really, I want to give them a lot of credit. They really helped with the setup. We adjusted to the last minute, and then we adjusted in the race. So I want to give some credit to Pete Polini, Tommy Kelly, Tim Wortman, Stu Evans, he's watching. Man, it was just a team effort tonight.
Preston, it always feels good to get to victory lane. I'm sure that this helps build the momentum going forward. How do we keep this going? What do we need to do to make this a weekly thing and continue to put on these strong performances?
Oh, it's all about putting in practice and just focusing. I mean, focusing is the biggest key. I didn't focus last week at Phoenix, messed up my qualifying, and got hurt on lap 1. So just focus and qualifying, really. That's a big key for me the rest of the year.
Well, Preston, you made things come to fruition tonight. A victory here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. You already gave a few shout-outs, but who else would you like to thank for the victory?
Well, I want to thank the league sponsors. We've got SimNut, Butt Kicker, and Budget Sim Boxes. I want to give a shout-out to my mom. I think she's watching tonight. My girlfriend and her daughter for putting up with me being so loud when I'm racing. Just everybody who tuned in. I think a few other friends might be tuning in tonight too. And thank you guys for putting on the show for us.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Driving the number 13 Geico Chevrolet Camaro, Preston Puryear, your winner here tonight in the Showtime Cup Series at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And it sounds like, I didn't know this originally, but sounds like, Jesse, you're going to be chit-chatting with his teammate, Tim Wortman Jr.
Yeah, we're gonna catch up with Tim Wortman here. Tim, this may be one of the wildest races of the season you've had so far. With the Showtime Cup Series, you were front to back and back to front and sideways and all over the place and dodging cars. Let's talk about this one here tonight.
Yeah, this one I've had circled on for quite a while. Every time we've ran the sim seats scheme this year, we've put her in victory lane, and I worked real hard during official races working on sets, and almost had a win here in official race. I had a 10-second lead. Somebody bounced off the wall and ruined that one, so I really, really was looking for a win tonight, and boy, that Preston, I'm so happy he got his first win. He just put her right around me on the outside and just drove away. That was a good moment for the team.
And we saw Tommy Kelly in front of you have some contact with a lapped car, and you kind of had to make a split-second decision. Was I going to hold on to the outside groove and work my way around, or try and thread the needle? Made the right move here tonight and was able to come home in second.
Yeah, we definitely had a pit misjudgment early in the race, and it put me in the backside. I had to work my way up, and track position was a big deal. But in the end, that last pit stop, we nailed it and made up a lot of time. And while everybody else had some issues on the last stop, we nailed it when it mattered. And glad to be on the podium talking to you guys again.
Well, let's talk about our sponsors here tonight. We got some league sponsors, got sponsors on the race car. They help get the car to the racetrack. Let's give them their thanks.
Yes, Sim Nuts, Butt Kicker, and Budget Race Box, Budget Button Box. I know I'm messing that one up probably, but definitely loving the Sim seats on the car. They've been a great addition to the 00. And Stuart, the team captain, for putting a good set under the car. I appreciate it.
Well, it's a big night here tonight for Tim Wortman Jr. coming up with a runner-up finish here at a Atlanta Motor Speedway. Thanks for joining us here tonight, Tim and Preston. Yeah, it's been a big night. Thanks to you guys for putting on a good show.
I've now been able to make my way down to get a word with our third place finisher tonight, driving the number 21 Ford Mustang, Sean Stamper. Sean, got to be honest with you, my man, it was kind of a quiet night for you, but you sure made some noise when it counted. You finished in third tonight.
I appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, I want to thank my wife, Terry, and my team. But, man, I had a fast car, but there's a few other faster than me.
Sean, we saw a lot of green flag racing tonight, not really a lot of opportunities to get this field bunched up and to really have the benefit of restarts to try to pick off positions. How challenging is it with this racetrack to have so many green flag laps, and with all the things that this racetrack puts you through, to be so disciplined, to not burn your stuff up, and to be able to have a good long run car?
Yeah, the tire fell off extreme. You got to take it easy, because if you go too hard, your car starts pushing real bad. But my team gave us a good setup, and we was able to pull off third place.
A very solid third place run here. Started back in 8th place, really spent the majority of your race inside the top 10. And when it mattered, you got a phenomenal finish for you and for your guys. There was a lot of love for you in our stream chat tonight. A lot of people pulling for that number 21 car, and you made some mention of some of the supporters. Who else helps you get around these racetracks and put on these good runs?
I'd say my wife, number one, and then my team, and I got a good team behind me. And Marshall, thank Marshall for putting on a good league he's got here. And thank you guys, too, for your great broadcast. I do.
So there's your third place finisher, Sean Stamper. A very solid run for that number 21 machine. Comes home in third place and looking to continue on with a strong performance in next week's show. So there we got it, Jesse. A very good race here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Lots of green flag. Certainly no shortage of drama throughout this race. Very impressed with the show. Give us your final thoughts.
Well, I knew this race was going to be something. Atlanta has never had a boring race, and when the tires go, the excitement goes up. Making their way around this racetrack is an art. It's a science. These drivers know what they're doing, and it's such an exciting thing that we get to broadcast these races.
Yeah, we definitely saw a lot of on-track excitement. There was some drama. There were a lot of mistakes, and the mistakes that we saw tonight really highlighted the the action with this event. It changed the complexion, and we saw the beneficiary of some of those mistakes go to victory lane and get some of the good finishes that we saw here tonight. It's always important to minimize your mistakes. And with a track that challenges these drivers as much as it does, and with as difficult as it is to rein in the Atlanta Motor Speedway, you heard it from these guys here tonight. It really played a factor, and it provided a great show for us, and hopefully for all of the fans out there as well. Paul, that just about does it here for us tonight. Still a very lengthy week and weekend of sim racing broadcasting to come. What do we got coming up next here on Verdane TV?
Whole lot of live racing action coming at you for the month of January and really the first half of the 2021 calendar year. Lots of weekly racing series have signed on with us here at Verdane TV. Very excited to say that we weren't just a flash in the pan last year due to the pandemic. We're going to be around for a long time, and we're taking it to the NEPS Grand National Series tomorrow night, 8:15 Eastern start, and then the very next night, the first race for the Super Truck Series, brought to us by the NEPS Group, the New England, Pennsylvania iRacing Group. That's going to be an exciting race. That's going to be race number 2 of that series. They raced the very first race over on New Year's Day. Pretty cool little team deal. There's 6 teams, 4 drivers. You saw the draft right here live on Verdane TV. That was a whole lot of fun, and we're hearing that the racing is pretty intense in that Super Truck Series. Saturday night, the Sim 500 Verdane Racing Super Speedway Series, getting closer to championship bracket time to see who's going to make themselves into the playoffs. We've had 6 different races with 6 different winners, and very exciting to see. Looks like Wes Rowdy Hoga lost the points lead this past week, but still in contention with the top 2, being one of the top 2 drivers in the points that has not had a win yet. We're off Sunday, Monday, but Tuesday night, the RBR Maritime Group comes back for season number 3. Got to check the start time on that one, because we're going to be doing some single car qualifying before the show, and that's going to be pretty exciting. And then Wednesday night, right back where we started, a doubleheader of the Tim's Corner Motorsports Weekly Racing Series at Oxford Plains, and then Showtime Cup Series back at 9:15 next Wednesday night. Taking a look at the schedule over there on the Verdane.net/events, where you can get the official calendar events of all of our TV broadcasts on the YouTube, the Facebook, the Twitch, all that good stuff. No less than 4 races a week, all the way up through the month of May, not counting the week of Easter. Very excited to have that. Cannot be more thankful for all the different leagues, the drivers, the sponsors, marketing partners, but more importantly, the fans. We do this to entertain the masses, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of that. Great show here tonight at Atlanta for the Showtime Cup Series, but that's going to wrap it up. I'm tired. I'm going to have myself a nice cold beverage and probably head on out to the old dusty trail. But great race here. Congratulations to the top 3 drivers here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Showtime Cup Series. That's going to do it for Verdane TV. Myself, I am Showtime Paul Strickland Jr., no relation. Jesse Thompson coming in here for the very first time of the Showtime Cup Series, and Kyle Young, Verdane TV's Employee of the Month for the first time. We'll catch you guys next time, and when we do, we're going to be doing it live. We'll see you at the track.